Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. That is a soulful one, I guess. Not really soulful. Anyway, but that's not what's important. What's important is today announcements. Yes. So, first of all, started Tales from the Borderland. I'm moving through it really quickly. Compared to Days Gone, I was like, wow, this one's going so quick. I love it. I tried to start Borderlands 2's DLC. Did about an hour of it. Realized I didn't record my audio. Like, I got the game audio. I didn't record my audio because I forgot to click the freaking thing with that. Grrr, I hate you. Rookie mistake. But I also found out that I probably shouldn't because I found Vaughn in the DLC. I'm like, I haven't beat Tales from the Borderlands yet, so I should probably wait a bit, to avoid spoilers. That's okay. I'm going to start it up again after I beat Tales from the Borderlands, which, considering how quick I've moved through it, I've got most of it done I got an episode and a half done of it in 1 week, so I should be able to finish it before the end of the month. Apart from that, moving into August now. Woo, August. I'm gonna have another change to my schedule next month, September. So that's gonna be a bit different from what things are now. Specifically, I'm not going to be uploading, or I'm gonna be doing the uploads, but I'm gonna be trying to live stream to Twitch starting in September. Kind of in addition to everything I do here, and I might take those and do highlights of those videos for either my Babbling Beards podcast channel or for this one. I'm not sure yet, but that's the plan for now. That's what I'm thinking of doing. It'll be different games than what I play here. It'll be more of the like really story based stuff. Adventure type games, that sort of thing. Long play stuff. If it works. I hope it'll work. I tried again on YouTube Thursday to live stream and it didn't work out. I mean, it came out okay, but like really jittery, really gross. And considering I have 32 megs upload, I think I should at least be able to live stream and a slightly better quality. And I've been blaming my PlayStation and everything else for my live stream capabilities, but maybe it's YouTube itself because that's the only place I tend to, live stream. So I'm going to try Twitch. I'm going to be trying it off and on before September to see if it works, and we'll find out. But anyway, that's it for my announcements for today. Today's topic. That's what's important. Today's topic. So I had made a video at one point where I was basically saying that easy mode is a non-issue and people are getting upset about it for no reason. And in that video, I alluded to the fact that I don't consider some of the more hard games to be particularly hard. Just they require a little bit of technique and learning a technique and whatnot. Now, I'm the type of guy who can easily say that just because I'm not good at something doesn't mean it's hard. Because I know my limitations, and I know my reflexes have gone down a lot significantly since I was younger, especially since I didn't play a whole lot of faster-paced games. And there's some things I do good with, and some things I just don't do good with, and I understand that aspect. And I think specifically I called out Bloodborne because I've played Bloodborne, and I didn't find it particularly hard, just that you needed to learn patterns, and learning patterns is easy to me. So what, pray tell, do you consider hard as far as video games are concerned? StepsBasic? Well, simply enough, a game that learns has the potential to be difficult. That is just one aspect of what I require for difficulty. Now, I know I said that learning patterns is easy, but patterns are pretty important as far as the difficulty ramp is concerned as well, because more complex the pattern, the more difficult it gets. But going back, take a step back for a second. A learning game, a game that learns as I play, becomes more and more difficult, provided it doesn't curb itself as it learns. Playing through a game and the bad guys learn my patterns, the bad guys learn my techniques, my movements and whatnot. That is challenging. That's why multiplayer PvP stuff I don't tend to play too often, because I find it way too difficult for me. Because people learn me quick, because I'm very predictable. And I don't play Call of Duties and stuff like that because I'm not good at them. Simply because of the fact that I'm way too easy to predict and way too easy to learn. And the enemy are literally learning as we go along, and they will pick up on my patterns real quick. Now, I don't play the more open ones, not because I think they're difficult, even though I am pretty bad at them, the Battle Royale ones, because in that case, it's like 50 to 100 people against you, or 50 to 99 people against you, depending. And learning patterns is far more difficult in that learning your opponents becomes almost impossible, really. And that, to me, if it's impossible, it's not hard. It's just undoable. Now, of course, there are certain things, people tend to just rush in and start blasting things, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, that's technically my technique for Call of Duty games. Give me a shotgun and I'll just blast people who come around a corner when I'm running through the map. And that's me. So the AI learning makes for a difficult game. And that's why I mark up Alien Isolation as a difficult game, because there were set patterns to it. Like if you learn somebody's patrol, then you can get around it. But at the same time, there were a lot of other things in play, like a learning AI, and noise was a problem. I know I had an issue one of the episodes when I was talking, didn't realize that the mic was on, and so I kept calling the alien over to me, and that sort of thing. And unpredictability makes something difficult, which is why learning is what makes things difficult to me. What makes a hard game is unpredictability. So, because that's what I was talking about when it comes to patterns. I learn patterns fairly easily. I can learn a route. I can learn a patrol of a unit. Like Metal Gear Solid was big for that. You got the bad guys who go back and forth or patrol a certain area. So after playing it for a couple minutes, that game becomes really easy. And just like Bloodborne, while it does require more precise timing for things, the patterns are predictable, and you can kite an enemy around. You don't even have to fight for like 5 minutes. Just kite them around and learn what their patterns are, and then learn how to interact and how to get around and how to battle the bad guys. That's why I don't consider them particularly hard games. A little challenging, I'm not going to lie, because of the whole timing and having to get precise hits in makes it a bit more difficult for me. And things like QuickTime events are very similar in that aspect. I don't find QuickTime events to be difficult. I find them to be annoying because I'm old and my fingers are getting slower and I cannot process things I cannot react to things nearly as quickly as I used to as a kid. Now I know that's a bit of a cop-out on account of the fact that there are plenty of people my age and some even older who do fine with that sort of stuff. But I mean, some of them didn't really work their hands as hard as I did, and some of it's my own fault. I was pretty rough to myself as a young adult, and my hands, they're all so broken. So basically, I'm trying to think of something else that would make it more difficult. Unpredictability is one thing. and overwhelming predictability, or overwhelming not predictability, overwhelming odds kind of makes it a bit more difficult. Like one-on-one boss fights in Bloodborne made it fairly simple, but then when you get 4 or 5 bad guys on the screen at the same time, that's when you kind of have to learn your way to maneuver around them, and that becomes a challenge. But at the same time, you don't run into situations like that very often. And things like Cuphead and Mega Man, games like that, bullet hell type games, those made things more difficult because they ramped up the challenge by throwing more at you. It was kind of funny. I've been looking back at my Days Gone videos, and back at the beginning of the series, I panicked when there was like 3 or 4 freakers on me at a time. And then at the end of it, I was literally taunting massive hordes after me, because the game is not difficult, but at first it can feel a little overwhelming because you're not expecting that sort of thing. And I was looking back to like when I was at the Rebel Rock Cave, way back in the beginning of the series. I was way back there, and I found essentially was my first horde, the first one that I tried to fight. And I remember I was making so many mistakes because I didn't know what I was doing. And going through that and watching back my technique in that, when I was first trying to learn, there were parts when I was literally just running around in like circles and figure eights, just trying to learn what I can do, learn my patterns, learn what I can do. Because the freakers themselves are fairly predictable. They see you, they charge, and they try to eat you. Like, this is you, this is freaker, hum num num. And your whole goal is like run away. And that's when you start to have to take into your environment into play. That's why I said in one of my videos that I have not had a sense of adrenaline rush nearly as intense as the freaker swarms and hordes in Days Gone in so long, because I've not experienced situations like that in video games in like forever. And seeing this in Days Gone was just like, oh, I love it. Ultra HD freaking 4K on my TV. I got these turn around. I got these monsters just charging after me. I'm like, ah. And the AI itself wasn't so much learning because it was just the swarm. And anyone who's ever played D&D knows how dangerous a swarm can be. You sneeze for a second, you're dead. But then you have to learn yourself, and you have to learn the environment, and that was interesting. Not particularly difficult, because in some cases you still didn't need it. Like in towards the end, when I was doing the wrap up of the hordes, I was just so ridiculously overpowered that I didn't need to worry too much about anything. I died on accident once. And then I went back and I started doing the challenge modes, and that was a little bit different, because those I actually found to be challenging, because I didn't have to set because then I had to set bombs. I had to use the environment to my advantage. I didn't have an overwhelming amount of ammunition on me. I didn't have all the supplies that I had when I went through at the end of the game. So that challenge ramped things up for me. One thing that, like, the game itself, not Days Gone, The Last of Us, the game itself was not difficult at all. Going through that game was, you're moving from one checkpoint to the next. You got your stealth sections, then you got your live fire sections, but for the most part, very standard form. Playing on grounded mode on that was hard, because while the enemies still had their patrols, you were lacking a lot of the other things. Like, for one thing, you had more of a realistic health, like more like you. Not realistic to the game world, but realistic to real life. And nothing shined, so you could easily miss supplies that you didn't know were there. And the patrols were more, they learned more about you as you went through, at least in my experience. I'm not sure if they actually did, but I played through the Left Behind DLC on grounded mode, and I got stuck at the part when you were in the mall and you had to finish off the last. It was basically the last battle of the DLC, and you had to finish off those bandits while keeping Joel, hidden away. And that part, I was there for hours, days even, because I had to give up and come back to it, trying to get through that, trying my way, trying everything. And I had 2 arrows to start with. And I had to work my way around the environment and find anything I could use. Oh my God, that was hard. Now, that was hard mode, so it should have been hard. And that's the sort of thing, And more importantly, the game didn't hold my hand. That's one thing that makes a game difficult. I made mention of it at the beginning of Days Gone, that it doesn't really hold your hand so much as far as the story is concerned, but the game very much holds your hand. And anyone who's played more of the modern games knows what I mean when I say a game holds your hand. If you look at games like Days Gone, for instance, got checkpoints. You have your little sonar thing, so you can detect and find supplies around you. But even if you get close enough, you get the little pop-up on the screen so you can find it. And there's tutorials and everything, and moreover, it kind of adjusts to the way you play. Like, I remember at one point I died in that Rebel Rock cave, and when I came back to life, reloaded the game, the fog that blinded me inside the cave was gone. I'm not sure if that was a bug or if it was intentional, but it made seeing the enemy so much easier, and I knew to get out of there because there was no way I could beat it. Games back in the day didn't hold your hand. Like, you play Mega Man back in the day, they tell you, they drop you into the level, they say there's a bad guy at the other end. Find him, kill him. That's it. You don't get told, what's his weakness. You kind of have to figure that out yourself. And that was the big thing about a lot of games back then, was you had to figure things out. And Final Fantasy VII was one for that, for me, compared to Final Fantasy 15, where you have your waypoints, you have your big map and everything. Final Fantasy 7, you didn't have waypoints, you didn't have quests. You had to basically talk to people. And that's why I will always say that none of the games in today's age are hard games. Now, there's some exceptions, obviously. But compared to the stuff I grew up playing, they're not hard. And I kind of like that in a way, because it's a little bit more open for more people to play. And as an adult myself now, I find it's a lot easier for me to have time to play if I don't have to spend an hour or so talking to random strangers in a village just to find out where I'm supposed to go next. So, in a way, it's good. And the fact that I'm getting older and my fingers don't move as quick as they used to makes it a little bit better for me. And so, yeah, I don't mind so much that things are progressing from where they used to be in as far as gaming is concerned, getting all a little bit milder, because then we can welcome in a whole bunch of new gamers, And I feel like we do need games like Alien Isolation. We do need games like Cuphead. We do need games that learn and play hard, because we do need games to challenge us. Even if I'm a little bit weaker as far as gaming is concerned, I still need that challenge every now and again. Even if I do like RPGs more than I like freaking FPSs. But anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can. You know all that jazz. And tune in next time for the Stream of Consciousness. I have a good one for you this time. But yeah, tune in then. And until then, good night.